So,
hello, team players, and welcome back. Isn't it a great day in paradise here, baby? We're going to be doing a little bit of some underdog, as people have been asking us about here. Super excited to be getting on that bus. And guys, it's going to be a fun day here in the world of local football flavor. Fire questions at us. But Bob, playoff field is set. It's time to start doing some playoff best balls and making some good things happen
not
here.
time to start. It's time to continue. Also, in the news, Joe, as everybody knows from everything that was going on, John Harbaugh no longer the coach of the Baltimore Ravens. So that is big news for next year when when Underdog and DraftKings come out with their early best ball contest to think about when it comes to Lamar Jackson, when it comes to the running back room there and the decisions that are made, and also how it will impact other teams that are potentially going after him, say New York Giants, Tennessee Titans, who they might have their quarterback of the future, Hey, what's happening, Jamie? All right, Joe, let's fire some little mittens up here.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, no. Okay.
You just said fire it up.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So, guys, we're trying to get around technical issues here, mostly being that for some reason, the Underdog site is not loving the fact that we are using computers, which I don't understand why. But it is what it is, and here we are.
So, Jamie, I had a question for you. I had a question for you, Jamie, about where you placed in Scott Fishbowl. I'm really curious about where you got in Scott Fishbowl. Joe, I'm in a draft here too, not yours, apparently. But again, that's what I told Joe, Mick, is that we're entering from our phones. It's interesting, and you see this across other streams as well, where as soon as the end of the season hits, people are looking for some different things. They're not, getting a little bit of a break. But here we never take a break, right? We always are drafting and always thinking. I got the 4-hole in my draft that I'm in, Joe.
You are fortunate. I don't. I got the 6.
I like the 6. So insofar
why do you like the 6-hole?
I like the 6 because it opens the door in more recent drafts to some interesting combinations that you can't really get anywhere else. For example, like a lot of people from the 6 are building a lot of Philly. And I think if you're drafting 6, and we talked about this on Monday, if you're drafting a lot of Philly, you do have to chase it with some other teams that you do think that are going to score a little bit higher, because Philadelphia has been pretty inconsistent offensively. I'm going to build Josh Allen in mine. Has been pretty inconsistent offensively, so it's a struggle. Also, at 6, you do get the opportunity at times to take a fall in Jackson Smith-Njigba if he falls there.
He didn't. But at 6, I'm going to do Devontae Adams and James Cook.
And that's a fair combination, but you're not going to get back the quarterback back. So that's going to be 2 one-off pieces for you.
I'm okay not getting the quarterback back.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I forget who asked the question late on the day on Monday. It was, hey, I think that it might be a dark horse pick, but I think that Rodgers could be a top 4 quarterback, was what he said.
Yeah, you just said.
The answer is that aside from really maybe Allen.
Hey, Joe, can you fix that on your thing? It's blocking the first round. They can't see it.
Oh, well, guys, I apologize. I don't know how to actually fix that. It just is what it is for the guys watching at home. The first round is Puka, Njigba, CMC, Allen, Barkley, and Cook. That's where we're at right now.
Are you doing it from your phone, Joe?
No, that's from the computer.
From the computer there. Wow, this draft is wild.
Let me see if we switch it up to this setup. It looks a little bit better. There you go, guys. See it all there.
That's crazy that just happened. That was a crazy moment.
Crazy moments in drafting history.
All right, we're gonna take All right.
But Mick, there's nothing wrong with maxing out a board, man.
Now, 3 running backs
wrong with that.
Rip. 5, 6, 7. I thought I was going to get something else there. Yeah, but I think when you look at maxing it out, I think that if you want to look at just sitting tight and not maxing out the mitten 3 that just came out, I think that's fair enough, because we're going to get a bunch of tournaments coming up in the playoffs that are, either you get some survivor pulls in or you get the big boards that are coming up. I think that it's reasonable to say that if you don't want to max it, you don't have to max it. And we've talked a little bit about the benefits and the detriments potentially to maxing the different tournaments. I don't really, if you max the 1 and the 2, if you feel like getting in max and 3, go for it. But from my opinion, I don't really think it's worth it. I don't think the payout is worth it. And right now, like in terms of leverage right now, I'm not quite sure what kind of leverage you're going to get in the mitten 3. As opposed to the leverage that you were getting in the mitten 2 and the mitten 1. Now that leverage is going to have to come from really taking and thinking about how to get deeper teams. And I'm just not sure that that's fully, I don't know if that's something that I fully want to do on Underdog. Maybe if it was DraftKings, I feel that a little bit more. But I'd really have to think more about it. I'm building something crazy here. I can't wait to show you guys what's up in here.
So I just clear, Bob, you're able to see it real good on the screen now, though, right?
Yeah, I'm able to see it real well on the screen. You're just gonna have to keep scrolling as you go.
I'm fine scrolling, but if you look at the one that I'm in here, you see a 6 receiver in a row run. You don't normally see that.
Stafford that late?
Yeah, I got Stafford at the end of 3, paired up with Adams. I mean, I'm loving this.
Wow, that's quite shocking to me.
But the thing is I'm kind of all in on Buffalo, though, because I'm not going to get another running back of any quality.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm leaning NFC for the quarterback and receiver position, and I feel I'm kind of stuck to do it. If I get ETN or something, I might do that. Like Harvey's sitting out there for some reason still.
So
I don't really take Harvey, but there is some value in the man.
Joe, in these underdog drafts recently, I have seen Bo Nix, because he has a first round bye, fall so precipitously far.
Yeah, no, I get it. But Harvey should not be a 5th round player.
That's so interesting.
For a starting running back.
There's a team here that has Purdy, Kittle, Cook, and McCaffrey. So that one, I've never seen that team. So that's definitely a unique combination to a lesser degree than some other combinations that have really been bouncing around. Christian McCaffrey rarely falls to 6 with James Cook. And I think that combination is super interesting. All right, we're going to build out this. Hopefully this ends up being the AFC Championship game. We talked a little bit, Joe, on Monday about how to build out different sides of the board.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get him. That kind of sucks. I knew I should have taken him before. As building out both the AFC and the NFC pieces, the one that I'm in right now, I'm not necessarily happy with it. I'm a little bummed out that guy took who I was going to take there. But I'm building out an AFC Championship game potentially. And we'll see where that goes. At least it's going to be potentially a game if Buffalo and New England both win.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. With the reality is that the Chargers might be the most banged up team offensively entering the playoffs out of all 14 of them. You know, their offensive line just matters, but it's been that way for like 2 months, and they still have figured out how to win. The most interesting game, maybe not the most entertaining game, is that Sunday night one. Is can the Chargers go to cold Boston without an offensive line and basically score enough points with what would be a shootout from Drake May. Like those are the two questions. Can they stop the running of the Patriots? Can they score? Because if they can, and the Patriots get eliminated early, Buffalo becomes the home run hit out of all of them. Because Buffalo, every single time they go to Pittsburgh, which is where they would go if the Chargers, that's wrong, they would go to Denver. But that is a massive opportunity the Bills have to score like crazy. And looking at these different combinations that are out there, given different scenarios, I think are there. And to me, Denver doesn't scare me defensively. Maybe they should, but they don't. And I look at this and go, yeah, maybe we shouldn't worry about that. What if Jacksonville's good?
I think they are good. I explained
what if Jacksonville wins?
I explained this on Monday when we were talking with family about this, is that the fact that Josh Allen is the single best player in people's opinions in the NFL right now really paints a framework for how that game is being viewed. Is that both of these teams are well coached, but in generally speaking, the offensive pieces here for Jacksonville are so much better than the offensive pieces for outside of Cook, right? Cook and Allen for Buffalo. But I think respectively that Buffalo's defense is overall probably way better than way better than what we're looking at for Jacksonville. Not necessarily that it's like leaps and bounds better, but it's definitely something that I think people are sleeping on the fact that Jacksonville is actually good, but also the fact that Buffalo's defense is actually good as well. So it's like, the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object in a way, right? Is that these players, it's going to be a good matchup. And I think that people are kind of not seeing that maybe to the capacity that it could be. And they're just saying, no, well, it's Josh Allen, right? It's Josh Allen. Josh Allen's it's going to be great. Josh Allen. And maybe not. What is this guy? Why are you poaching my guy?
So, Bob, one of the things I'm learning, maybe this draft is unique, but quarterback's going real late here on Underdog compared to DraftKings.
Well, on DraftKings, on Underdog, like I said, once people make their stack, they're not looking for a second quarterback until very late because there's only 10 positions. You can only
see that
10. With those extra 2, then people go ham. Right?
That's fair.
Looking for pieces that, may or may not be there. So that's kind of the room that I have right now, the 2 quarterbacks that fell late. So Bo Nix went in the 6th. Sam Darnold and Caleb Williams both went in the 8th. Jordan Love just went in the 9th. Justin Herbert hasn't gone yet. And maybe Justin Herbert finishes it off with the guy who has Matt Stafford because he just took QJ. So potentially speaking, that could work there. I did something I normally don't do. I don't know how satisfied I am with this build. But again, the satisfaction that I have with a build doesn't really make it better or worse in a way.
That's 100% true.
Jamie, I think Joe's early CJ Stroud pick submarined him to the very bottom.
Oh, I also never set a roster on Fishbowl.
Because you were so
literally, I stopped caring immediately. I don't think I'm going to do it next year with how little I cared.
I'm going to do it.
There was nothing on the line. It was I got so much into doing all the best balls. It was there.
Yeah, I mean, I played. I
Jamie winning 11 out of 23 dynasty championships and 4 redrafts, 772. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's a profit and a half.
Nicely done, Jamie. He stopped carrying week 3.
Yeah, that's like, why are we doing this when there's money on the line?
That's actually pretty funny. I'm getting really mad at this one guy. Why are you taking my boys? All right.
Well, Bob, let's do another one here before the mitten completely falls. So I'm looking across the board here. You let me know how consistent this is. It looks like 5 receivers is kind of the floor for the underdog here.
I took 6.
Yeah, 5. That's still the floor though.
Yeah, I took 6. My team's wild, Joe. Like, I don't really like it, but like I said, it's wild.
I ended up doing a dirty Niners build with a lot of advanced pieces fluttered in there.
Okay. I mean, I got
some Niners too.
Here was mine. I got where did we do that in? Did we do that in Little Mitten too? Oh, it's not up yet. There it is. So I did a double dip on quarterback, something I never do. And I did Josh Allen and Drake May. Went Trevion. I was going to also get Ramondre, but I got boxed out of that. So I went DeAndre Swift. Then I built Shakir, Hunter Henry, Booty, DJ Moore, and Odunze because I got blocked out of Colston, Loveland, and Burden. So I have a Buffalo-Chicago Super Bowl, and I have a Chicago-New England Super Bowl. Something I really don't normally do. But if that lineup ends up hitting, I'll be more than satisfied for something like that.
So I have probably been the most anti-Bears person there is, but I have become more and more comfortable that the Bears are getting me 2 games than anyone else because I don't think there's a way the Packers.
And you love it, man.
And if you look at it, if the Niners pull the upset, which I don't think that is that crazy, you then get Chicago Rams. That could be a really high scoring game in the second round.
Could be.
I don't know if they're winning it, but I'm just saying that could be 2 things to advance your team, even if the players don't.
All right. You ready, Joe?
Oh, we do. Which one are we doing here, Bob?
Little Mitten. Yeah, Jimmy, that's fantastic, man. 25,000 views.
All right, give me a countdown.
All right. 3, 2, 1, enter.
I got 5 people waiting to start, which makes me think that you're in a different one.
I have 4 more to start, 3 more to start.
Oh, I got 3 more to start too. Maybe we are in the same one. How about that? All right, guys, let me do a little button pushing here, a little on-air producing to try to find where we're at. Yeah,
Jamie, I'm really excited for you, man. Like hitting those benchmarks is really, really nice. And then on top of that, getting that money, $772 might not seem like a lot for some people, but hey, all right, let's see where you're at. You're not in oh yeah, you are in this one. Nice. You're 4.
Sweet.
And I got 6. So let's see what happens here. But yeah, so I think that right now, personally speaking, I know that when we talk about content creation is that when we look at the ability to get unique in these best balls, you're running up. And here's the thing, you're running up against sim after sim after sim. And, when you are using things like the sidekick, you're assuming other people are using that too. And the sidekick adjusts, it gives you the best kind of formulas to attack, the best player capital to kind of attack your draft with. And if you want to pivot, it's easy to kind of figure out a pivot piece. And the data points are all there. And I get that a lot. But I think the other thing too is that there are going to be X amount of teams in these tournaments, right, that have certain combinations that you're just going to need. You're just going to need certain aspects of the combination, and you're just not going to have it. And at that point, you're cooked, right? Ultimately, like I said, in this tournament here on Underdog, you want 5 live people. And you want 5 live people in a matchup that, it's going to be scoring is going to be worth it. Like I said, if Buffalo makes it, I don't think any piece from the NFC side is actually going to be that pivotal except for the running back because Buffalo's defense, pass defense particularly, is good. I also think that if Philly makes it, that it's going to be hard for certain aspects of teams to be productive.
Yeah.
If Jacksonville makes it, then the quarterback on the other side is going to have a hell of a game. So that's kind of the pieces that I'm thinking of, right? That I'm looking at there. So we're gonna go Kyron.
See, I'm more zoomed in upon this week. I look at Houston being on the defense, as good as their defense is, can really kind of shutter some people. I don't see them getting into a lot of shootouts. Wow, Allen and Cook slipping through. Someone messed up there.
I gave him that. I couldn't use that. So I gave him that.
We'll see how much everyone's playing in their lanes here in this one. Because it looks like the guy here on the first pick is going to be able to get both Arizona, or he's going to get at least 3 of the Rams. So he can get Kyron right, or you took Kyron.
Yeah.
He can still get Stafford.
He could.
But this is normally where you see Henderson go.
Yeah, it depends. But he has all those. He has all the. Ooh,
a little Devontae Hurts. Okay, that changes where I'm going.
Interesting. I like that. I haven't seen. I've seen that a lot. But yeah, in terms of the chop, unless you have a tight end that's going to have like crazy substantial value, yeah, it's most likely going to get chopped multiple different ways here.
Love it.
You bastard. Why would you have done that?
I told you I was taking Travion.
Well, you took both of my guys.
I didn't take Diggs. I don't want Diggs.
Well, I needed Diggs.
Well, I don't know why he took Diggs.
I don't know why he took Diggs either.
But your Drake May just became naked, which is, to me, one of the big fears of taking the quarterback early.
Yes. Yes and no. He just has the Mondo Buffalo. I'm going to give him that. And so, again, the reason I didn't go, he can have his Buffalo Seattle Super Bowl without JSN. And I actually think, like, if you have the opportunity to build this Buffalo Seattle Super Bowl without JSN, it's not the worst in the world, because Buffalo's defense is a little bit worse in there. And Jamie, that's kind of where I'm at on this build here too, is that, like I said, I'm trying to go with some things that I haven't done before. On Monday, we talked about the value of going with things that you've already done, because you never really know what pod luck's going to look like.
True.
But on this one, I'm doing something that I haven't done before, which is going with Rams Patriots. And I don't have the best wide receivers from the Rams, which, if the Rams make it to the Super Bowl, you probably are going to need Puka. But the odds, but I'm seeing a lot of Rams with Travion with Devontae and Puka, or Travion with Puka and Stafford, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't quite seen something like this yet. I'm sure it does exist. And I do think that these 4 components of these 2 teams can do well week 1. So we're going to push it with some other pieces here coming up to give us some live options as well.
Bob, I'm just smacked in the face of things I don't want to do right now.
I know.
This is definitely not staying in your lane at all.
You went a little rogue there, and that's fine.
I did.
All right. So It's round 5, right? All right. So we're taking Hunter Henry as our first piece there in the wide receiver room, but we're done at running back. We're gonna go full hog into building out a little bit of Bears, I hope, and the rest of New England. Because like I said, I don't see any value in the rest of any of the pieces. And like I said, I can do a tight end for the Rams. Patriots, Bears, Packers with the Rams advance, sure. And like I said, I didn't build out the Packers there, but with Patriots, Bears with those Rams advanced pieces, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm going to get some pieces there. And like I said, I do think that hopefully we can get, and I might take one of the Rams tight ends as a back end piece, because I do think that any of those tight ends could do well on any given occasion, whether it's Ferguson. Honestly speaking, if the Rams make the playoffs, or if the Rams make the Super Bowl, I would not be entirely surprised if the pieces you needed to own were the tight ends. At all.
Titans got some solid to him.
And which tight end? Oh, we don't know, right? It's tough to even say. But I am going to grab a New England wide receiver.
I feel like all I did at the end of the day of this draft is I sit back and reflect. See, that's the other thing. With these underdog drafts, you don't get times to really build your stacks on the back end. I'm all advancement pieces.
Oh, this guy's building all Buffalo with a little bit of San Francisco, Seattle. You see that? He built Brandon Cooks really early.
I see that.
Could this pay off for him?
Not if you don't get out of the first round.
Sure.
Luther Burton's a guy I was debating my last pick for the advancement piece component.
I mean, because I have some Bears action, I think the Bears are in a good matchup. I'm just praying that you don't take Colston Loveland and that he stays around. So then I can take another Rams advanced piece and the Chicago piece. I like the Tet pick. I think that Tet's in a matchup that he can do very well in this week. Do I expect Carolina to win? I don't.
No.
But like I said about the Steelers last week, stranger things have happened. And this room is kind of like the epitome of it, because, again, with the Little Mitten 2 being like a $3 tournament, right, is that people are throwing shit at the wall. And it's definitely not like your Gauntlet. It's not like your Summits where people are being very cold and calculated about it. It's literally combinations that you will never really see, right? Nope. Do I think Dowdle's a good piece to have? I don't know, but that first team does have RJ Harvey, who has a bye. Corum's probably not going to have, I don't know. Corum and Kyron, Kyron for me is okay, I could wait on Kyron. I didn't think I'd have the chance to get Stafford. That's why I went May. I would have taken Adams instead, but we're getting something silly here. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, actually. Yep. With Tet and DK Metcalf, because those are pieces that people are not thinking that those teams are going to move on. You know what I'll say, though? What will be a real kick in the dick is if the Rams lose.
They did. They did lose there, 4 weeks ago?
If the Rams lose, because there's no mega,
who the hell takes Metcalf? What a dick move.
And granted, I don't think that any of the Carolina pieces will be valuable in the second round, because that's where they're going to face a little bit trickier defenses and stuff. But man, wouldn't that be wild, right? You bastard.
Wasn't me.
Piece of shit.
But oh, had the mighty have fallen. BTJ in the first round of redrafts, in the 9th round of playoff best ball.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that. Why? This guy went with 7 wide receivers or 7 wide receivers.
That seems excessive when you can only play 2 of them, right?
Well, he knows.
Well, I guess you can play 3 of them because you start 2 and there's 1 flex. So.
Here's the problem. He knows that Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, and Brandon Cooks are not going to advance him. So he took 3 other pieces that have good matchups that will advance him. So he's trying to get the mega Chicago, the mega Buffalo through.
But you don't. Those mega, like you only get 5 is the biggest you can get through.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that if depending on Mick, the positions that you're in drafts, it's very easy to be low owned on certain groups of players. Like until the Little Mitten 3 or a Little Mitten 2 here, I was very low on Drake May just because positionally I was taking more Eagles where those positions came up. Right. But now I'm taking less of that depending on my position. All right, Joe, let's rack them up.
Yeah, and Jamie, a BTJ is I'm not ready to move up. BTJ probably is going to be going around that spot of the 6th round or so. 6th
and
round.
I think that he'll be fair value there. I will take, like, if J. Jeff falls to the 2nd round, if BTJ falls to like the 4th or 5th round, I still think that people will pump him up to that thing, say, well, maybe it can't be that bad next year as well. I am way willing to take a shot especially if I'm in best ball, I'm way more likely to do something like that.
Give me a countdown, Bob.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter.
All right. That should have worked. Well, we are getting our technical difficulties correct.
You're in. I'm in. All right, let's rack it up. I got the number 1 pick. You got the number 5.
All right.
All right. Well, you guys know what I'm doing here. It's Puka.
What are you doing here, Bob?
We're not messing around.
It's not messing around. That sounds like he's going Puka.
Well, here's the thing. Out of the top 3 guys that are on the ADP, right? And you don't have to follow ADP for tournaments like this.
No, you certainly don't.
Out of the top 3 guys, Puka and JSN for me, I feel have the best chance to make it to the Super Bowl. And out of these first 3 matchups, because JSN is not playing in the first round, I can't reasonably say that I would want to take him number 1 overall. I could. Okay. But Christian McCaffrey, again, I like Christian McCaffrey's capabilities in his matchup. I just don't feel like San Francisco is going to advance too much. So if I'm at number 1, like if I was at number 2, maybe I'd have a conversation between Christian McCaffrey and James Cook, for example, because I do have questions, like I said on Monday, about Buffalo advancing. But I just don't see a way that I can get around Puka, particularly speaking that most people do not think Carolina has a chance.
I agree with that.
If you look at the stats, if you look at the metrics, most people think that he doesn't have a chance.
And it's justifiably so.
I did hear about this. And I do think that when it comes to player mentality, having the proper time to like do things like grieve or deal with an injury is very important. And sometimes people are rushed back and then they don't play well. And then, it gets in their head again. And BTJ feels like a kid that things get into his head a lot. And so, like, being aware of that, I think, is important. See, I think if it ends up being a Jacksonville Phillies Super Bowl, those two players, and Etienne and Barkley, are probably going to smash because Phillies run defense isn't fantastic, and Barkley, he is who he is. Hopefully, he can do better in the playoffs. And that's the reason why some people are like, well, San Francisco has a chance against Philly because Philly's rush defense is a little bit worse than, say, other teams that they've popped up against, right? So something to keep your eye on.
Oh, I'm keeping my eye on it, Bob. But obviously that's a stack I'm building in this one is Philly and Jacksonville. I've not done a Philly Jacksonville, and let's see what we can do with it.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm there. I'm there with you. I'm really excited to see who this guy takes. Feels like George Kittle.
See, I don't want a tight end on Underdog.
I do, because it is a way to get different. Oh, no,
I don't mind the two running back start at all. I don't get taking the Josh Allen naked. Because Buffalo has so little receiving value. Now, you can make the argument this is going to be a shootout, which it might be. I mean, that's kind of what I think it's going to be, one of the higher scoring ones of the day. You taking her? You took Stafford. All right.
That's a weird decision to make. I didn't really.
We'll see. He's got Puka.
Yeah, I have Puka, and I don't know. I feel like Stafford's going to score more in the first round. I mean, I said this to you guys the other day. Jalen Hurts, I think, has a chance to score very well in the first round, but they do have to let him off the leash a little bit. But if it comes down to it, they're probably going to be within like 4 points of one another.
This is going to be Hurts. I just have a feeling someone's going to take Hurts here.
No, this guy is going to take Hurts on the comeback, but he does have Drake May, so I'm not really sure if he'll take Hurts.
Unstacked off the jump there.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. There goes Jalen Hurts. An unstacked Jalen Hurts with Kyron and James Cook. I am not 1,000% sure what's going on.
My strategy might have just changed. I might be off the Philly bus right now and have Saquon as an advanced piece. There's a whole lot worse advanced pieces than that.
Here's the thing. Having just Saquon for a let's say it's Jacksonville Philly Super Bowl might not be terrible.
Might not be.
It's a pathway, right? It's a pathway to take. I'm not saying it's like interminably the best pathway to take.
Oh, no one's saying that.
But it exists. So we're really going to have to pump it into one direction here. We're going to get, oh man, do I want to do this? Or do I want to go the other direction?
So looking at the team in the one hole, we got Puka, Brown, Stafford. No running backs over there yet.
That's me.
All right, that's you, Bob. What the hell are you doing over there with no running backs? This is Underdog. You have to have the backs.
Oh, I know.
You're taking Kenneth Walker, aren't you?
No. Why would I do that?
Oh, do you have a little more grossness in that feeling that you just had? Okay, explain to me Corum in the 5th round. A backup running back in the 5th round. Explain it.
Because in theory, he is a backup, Joe, but he's getting 14 touches a game. And you know that my metric for wanting or being able to want to start to running back is around 15 total touches. So if you're getting 15 total touches, is he the best running back on the slate? No. But if you look at my wide receivers, if I am able to build out what I want to build out, which will be a Rams, Denver Super Bowl, perhaps, with another running back chaser in there. The necessity, like I said, I drafted Kyron in the second round or in the first round prior, right? And this is a way to kind of just be different, right? Is that you look at these Rams players, it is just as likely for Corum to score a touchdown as Kyron.
Sure.
So there really is from my perspective here, there's really no difference to me from that account, right? I do think that it's something to keep your eye on, is that, he is my only running back right now. And the running back pool has really diminished significantly. So I will have a little bit of a difficulty kind of there. But if I want to play like some Steelers advanced pieces to get Corum to the next round, I'm for that. I can do that. Right. But because this is so limiting, I can't build both Steelers advanced pieces, if you get what I'm saying.
No, you're right. It's going to be very hard to get Metcalf and either Gainwell or Warren on a roster.
Right.
I said I'm definitely leaning the one quarterback approach, though.
In Underdog, I think a one quarterback approach is fine. Two quarterbacks gives you a little bit more chance in the Super Bowl in case one of the quarterbacks has a bad get, right?
Yeah.
But it definitely limits the amount of positional value that you get from the other positions. Like this guy being a toolbox just took another player that I was thinking about taking with Bo Nix. I mean, sure. Okay. Do whatever you want, dude.
It's the drawback of being on the end, though, dude.
It is a drawback, but it's not like I'm not like upset about it.
You sounded a little upset about it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, like I was going to take him, but I didn't have to because I have Stafford. I was just trying to build out another possible Super Bowl, right? So here we have, like, once I didn't get him, we're not going to take the other Denver wide receiver potentially, right? You see what I'm saying? Like,
I see what you're saying.
I still could, but right now we're looking at Stafford, Corum, Omarion. Omarion could advance Blake Corum. Puka, A.J. Brown, Cortland Sutton, Quentin Johnston. So I think that's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I could rip off two more of those and have a full Super Bowl with just Rams and then use those pieces to get me by. That's fair. And then if the Chargers make it to the Super Bowl, I got a little bit of extra oomph.
Little
something, you know. What are we at? We're at 8 and 9, so we have 3 picks left.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could take you and you if we wanted to. Get a little extra oomph. Yeah, and like I said before, like if the Rams face off against Denver, you know, it's like you kind of do want to have some of those Denver wide receivers because the pass defense for Denver is slightly better than the rush defense. So thinking about all those outcomes for like my team specifically, you always will need a certain teams to advance in your outcomes. So it's like I do like that. Like I said on Monday, I do like supercharger teams. It's cheap to get, and what's really nice about it is that if they do advance, and you have your other team that advanced to the one that you think is going to win, you probably have you're pretty strong in contention of, you know, like this team's going to be eating, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just have to question, you know, what pathway to take. And if you want to build a super team or if you want to get some of those advanced pieces in there, how do you want to approach it, right? So we're going to take Ladd and then Colby. So what I've done here is I've got Stafford We've got Corum. We got Hampton. Hampton built us into Quentin Johnston and Ladd. Colby to get another back end of the Rams. So we have a Rams Chargers Super Bowl, a double LA Super Bowl. And then Cortland Sutton is hopefully going to get us, some points in the second round. The problem with Denver is building Denver as an advance rate piece for the second round is so rough. If you don't get the other pieces of Denver. But for this last pick here, I could build another Denver piece in the off chance that it is a Denver Rams Super Bowl. I just wouldn't get any points this week. I could also take another Rams if I did think the Rams were going to advance and do a double tight end for the Rams.
So, Bob, I ended up building two
force
teams with the running back and two receivers with the quarterback, about Jacksonville and Houston. And then my two off pieces are Swift and Barkley. So I have a complete roster with a Super Bowl of 4 different combinations, which is pretty decent.
Hey, I have no problem. I have no problem with that. You went really heavy on the backs, and that's cool. But you really need Houston. You need Houston or the Jags.
The perfect world is the Houston-Jacksonville AFC Championship.
In a perfect world, yeah.
If Jacksonville pulls the upset, it's not surprising if Houston wins in Pittsburgh. They're probably favorites.
The one piece you didn't take that I think you should take, and I know you said you didn't want to take tight end, would be Brenton Strange.
Well, Parker Washington it has the benefit.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think Parker Washington is the Jags wide receiver to own in the playoffs. I do think that.
Yeah, I ultimately had the choice of him or BTJ, and I took Washington. Hey, obviously, and I have Myers already.
That's fair to me. That makes sense to me. I've built a couple Bayshall Tootin teams in there too. So,
And you guys made some comments about who to look at for next year. I really think that there's 2 good receivers that are getting overshadowed on their rosters that could take off next year on different programs. DJ Moore and BTJ are like those 2 guys for me. DJ Moore out of Chicago feels like it's inevitable. And if BTJ gets out and they go with Myers' route, that could be fun too. I just don't see him quitting on BTJ.
Yeah, BTJ is interesting. Again, DJ Moore, you guys know I like DJ Moore, but the way that he's being used this year is not the way that, from a fantasy perspective, that we want him to be used. I do agree with you, Mick, that the Chargers are such a long shot. But here's the thing. If they do beat the Patriots, which, again, the Patriots are a hot team right now.
They go to Denver.
They would go to Denver, and they've lost to Denver week 18 because of because they just rested everybody.
Yeah, playing
And then when we go back in the season to look at the Chargers schedule prior to that, again, the Broncos only won 19-3.
I'm pretty sure they beat Denver because at the beginning of the year, the Chargers were 3-0 in their division.
But when we look at the other game, they beat the Broncos 23-20.
Yeah.
And Herbert didn't have to do much. So, I'm looking at it and I'm saying it's not. And then if they play Jacksonville, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Jacksonville shellacked them November 16th. Herbert had 81 yards in that game. And I believe that was also Omarion Hampton missed that game. So, there is a reason to believe that, the Chargers are a long shot to win the Super Bowl. But if things break their way on a couple of plays, it could turn out really well for them. So I'm not off the Chargers by any means in terms of building teams, and definitely not in terms of who I think has a chance to advance this week. It's not cut and dried that the Patriots are going to advance right away. Like I said before, the metrics for the Pats, right, is something, before we get to that question there, the metrics for the Pats are something to kind of keep your eye on, because like I said, the things that the Patriots were doing well at the beginning of this season, it's no longer definitively the case for this part of the season, right? And so when we look at, and let's say we take the last 10 games, okay, And we're looking at specifically, we want to look at this Chargers-Patriots game specifically. So in all actuality, if you take the last 10 games, over the last 10 games, Drake May has a worse matchup than Justin Herbert, statistically speaking.
Sure.
If you take the last 4 games, Justin Herbert has a worse matchup, statistically speaking, than Drake May. If you take the last 2 games, because again, they basically rested their starters, etc., Justin Herbert has the advantage over Drake May in the last 2 games. And then when you look at that from a running back perspective, if you go through the whole season, New England was 12th against running back from a fantasy perspective, but the Chargers were 4th. But they're offering similar rushing attempts, right? This game is way more evenly matched from that perspective than I think a lot of people want to think. Now, the Chargers are giving up a few more receptions over the last 4 games, but the totals are very close, right? In the last 4 games, the Chargers have given up 47 receptions on 71 targets. The Patriots have given up 37 receptions on 55 targets. Less receiving touchdowns for wide receivers, sure, but also thinking about where that comes from is important too. And when you go to the last 2 games and look at those opponents, etc., New England gave up 31 targets and 20 receptions, and the Chargers gave up 29 targets and 19 receptions. So statistically speaking, this matchup is way closer, I think, than people want to give it credit for, and why I'm not fully writing off the Chargers, because the pass rush for the Patriots is not there. And that's the weakest point. And they're going to try to attack that as much as possible. And if they do, that will leave Ladd McConkey, that will leave QJ, that will leave Rondé Gadsden open to do things. And I think where you get different if you are building Chargers on Underdog is instead of taking Ladd, you take Rondé Gadsden. Right? Instead of taking QJ and Ladd, you take QJ and Rondé Gadsden, or you take Ladd and Rondé Gadsden, or you take nobody's taking Keenan Allen. Take Keenan Allen. Again, Keenan Allen is not a piece that's going to score a lot of points. But if it ends up at the Super Bowl and they end up getting to the Super Bowl,
he's definitely going to touch on the Super Bowl. They make it to him. There's no way they won't force feed him in the Super Bowl.
Look, so like the problem is there's only so much space. So building a Mondo Chargers, if you don't believe in the Chargers, is not going to be great for advancement if that's kind of where you're at. So when we look at, do you guys have any player prop bets for the weekend that we are locking in? I haven't actually looked at any, so let's look at some right now on.
I like the over on Henderson rushing yards
on FanDuel. So I like, Joe, can you tell me what the prop is on James Cook and Travis Etienne?
Pulling it up.
Because that has me really curious as well. What's up, King? How's it going? I said on Monday, these are the 5 teams that I think have a legitimate shot, more than a legitimate shot at the Super Bowl. And it's going to be Jacksonville, Buffalo, Seattle, Philly.
James Cook's rushing yards is 80.5. His receptions is 1.5.
He gets to 80.
His attempts is 18.5.
Okay, let me look at something here. There is a legitimate chance that he crests the over in the attempts and in the rushing yards. So Jacksonville has been allowing over the last 2 games 19 rushing attempts on average, 18 over the last 4, 16 over the last 10. Totally speaking, that's 74 rushing attempts in 4 games, 38 rushing attempts in 4 games. And I also think the combination of Bayshall-Tootin and Etienne kind of get there too. I think the running game is going to be very important in that game. And that's why I think it's okay to take both James Cook and Etienne, even though you only know one of them is going to advance.
22-1 on 3 touchdowns.
Hey,
that's not happening.
He's getting his points through touchdowns. So it realistically speaking, like if it's going to happen, it's going to happen this week because like.
And the money line has it as a push the whole game.
I'm saying, and I'm betting you that it probably has New England favored by like 4 or something.
Oh,
like
New
that.
England?
Like 3.5, 4 or something like that. Also, get me what's the over and under for the yardage total for Christian Watson?
Find it. Give me a sec.
Because that I think is a good. I like that. I like that a lot. And then, like if it's anything like
Christian Watson, 3.5 reception, 54 yards.
I think that goes over. I think the reception total goes over in that game.
Well, the total goes over. He's going over 53 yards.
And what's Kelvin Austin's?
Not worth betting on, I can tell you that.
I'm curious.
Metcalf will be back. But Calvin Austin is not a whole lot on his. His is just touchdown props. They didn't even do the rest of his.
Yeah, that sucks because I do think he has a good chance. I'm probably, depending on what the total is, I'd probably bet the under on Shakir. Realistically speaking, because I just don't see it. I just don't see it this week for him. I'm just really intrigued because these matchups, again. And like I said, guys, I've built a lot of Rams. Rams are that 5th team, by the way, King, where I was talking about, where I think it's in any order of that you want here. Buffalo, Jacksonville, whoever wins that game, I think is going to be the AFC representative. And then you have Seattle, Rams, and Eagles. Now, if the Eagles cannot generate offense, then you could easily see a team like the Bears come in and scoop something up if they were to beat the Packers, because the Rams or the Bears do have a good offense. The coach is, Ben Johnson's very good at what he's doing right now. The defense, while it's not stellar to any perspective, they do offer a lot of pass attempts to quarterbacks. They do offer a lot of rush attempts, but they also are keeping pace. And the defenses that they'll face, I think that they'll be able to kind of meet them where they need to be met at. Also, keep your eyes on overs. If you're looking for like a bet for the week, the overs for DeAndre Swift, the overs for a guy like Josh Jacobs, and, the reception total overs for the guy.
Bob, I want to do another one.
Barkley. Yeah, I'm ready to do another one too. Let me
know.
All right, let me get out of here.
It's probably the last one of the day, but let's do one more.
Yeah, we'll queue up another little mitten. All right, Joe, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, enter. Ooh, it's gonna be close.
Let's see what happened.
I don't see you. I do not.
Bob, you messed up then.
Hey, I got the number 1 pick again, so maybe I didn't.
Well, guys, you're stuck watching mine without me having the number 1 pick. Sorry about that.
I like the Seahawks, King. Now, from an offensive perspective, I do think that certain metrics they are lacking. But overall, if there's a team that realistically can win it with a pedestrian offense, I think it is Seattle, because what Seattle does defensively is like they go after teams, and they go after the ball a decent amount.
So the challenge the Seattle Seahawks have is, I don't think that they can. Here's the number 1 thing Seattle needs is Philly to win. Starting point. because I do not think that they can go through the gauntlet of the 3 West teams in a row.
Again, they've
them
already
playing the Niners and then beating the Rams. I don't think they can beat both.
but they've
if
already
Philly
played.
wins, and of course also Chicago loses, which is totally possible. I mean, I know I keep saying take Chicago, but there's a very real chance that they implode. They are Chicago Bears after all.
I mean, yeah, sure. Here's the thing though about the Seahawks.
That's the best thing for Seattle, because then that way they don't have to play both the Rams and
but here's the thing about Seattle is that, and this is the reason why I think Seattle has the best chance, right? Similar to the Rams, right? Is that they have already played each other twice, and they've already in both matchups they split the series. So they split the series with San Francisco. They split the series with the Rams. Okay, now when you go with the Rams, and you see how the Rams split, went about their series. They lost to San Francisco the first time around. They split it again. They beat the living snot out of San Francisco the second time. And then they split with Seattle, right? So, when I look at it, I think Seattle is a very strong contender that is being slipped under the rug, because from an offensive perspective in these fantasy best ball tournaments, nobody wants them, because outside of JSN, you don't know what Kenneth Walker's going to do. You don't know what Zach Charbonnet is going to do. So, and because they have the first round bye, there's not a lot of pieces that you want to build out for Seattle. So people are, like wishful thinking, right? That Seattle's not going to make it and these other two teams are, because Seattle just doesn't have enough pieces to make it worthwhile to take Seattle. And I think that that's kind of problematic in a way, right? Is that there is a reasonable pathway that can be made where I just got Puka, Kyron, and Stafford. Damn it. It's always that. But I do think, wow, this guy's got Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown. So I'm curious how he's probably going to build out Ty Johnson for that Super Bowl. I do think, legitimately speaking, and this is the thing, it's like, I think that they have been reusing Rashid Shaheed to do different things, but they haven't been asking him to catch the ball, because to the same effect, is because they've been winning, right? It's like these slog fests that Seattle has been through. It's not because they can't score points. They can score points. It's just the fact that late season Darnold might not be the same as early season Darnold. But if you look at the last 8 weeks of the season, and you look at these games, 13-3 against San Francisco, 27-10 against Carolina, 38-37 against Los Angeles, 18-16 against Indy, 37-9 against Atlanta, 26-0 against Minnesota. And that was a game where they didn't even have to score any offensive points. They didn't even have to do it because their defense was so dominant. And I think that is continually slept on, because there are so many bigger offensive pieces from the Rams, from Jacksonville, from New England, Denver, that it's just not utilized much, because nobody wants to build that out in these tournaments. And because they're a week one bye, people are just sleeping on it. It's very likely that this Super Bowl is going to be like Seattle Buffalo, and it's going to be a slogfest with minimal points scored by the offensive players. It's very likely that happens. What's happening, KJ? When you guys are doing prop bets, do you all alt down yardage or just go with the under instead of an alt? How do you feel about that, Joe?
So on prop bets, I rarely do the alt yardage. And the reason is the value is not normally there. And also you put yourself in too big of a trap. I think you're better just doing the line on prop bets the way that they are. I do got to say that if you are doing prop bets, do ones that are concurrent. So if you're doing someone's yardage, also do their catches. Because in general, prop bets, especially touchdown prop bets, are the most profitable things sports books have. They're like betting the hard ways and craps. They're going to take your money. So if you're going to do it, you got to stack it in your favor by doing concurrent prop bets, catches and receiving yards, attempts and rushing yards. Those are the ways to really kind of level out your odds. But very rarely will I do it all, and very rarely do I even play in the prop bet neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's fine to tease it down a little bit, but also like I think it's only realistic to do that if you feel like it's gonna be like the major hit of the century. Like if you think like if Nico's prop is set at like 55 yards and you kind of are running your numbers and you see that, oh, it's very likely that he only gets 45. If the money's right, it makes sense, but usually it's wrong. Usually it's not right to tease it down like that. And I think that maybe more people would tease it down as part of like a parlay, right, Joe? But but rarely does it feel worth it to tease it down with a just straight up, off the rip kind of performance. Like,
so Bob, this is a basic draft question for you. Looking at my board, knowing that the guys to the left of me both have Hurts and Drake May, where do you think the chance I could squeak Purdy through them?
High, unless they built out Christian McCaffrey or Juwan.
I got them both.
I mean,
I'm rolling the dice on it. See if I get Purdy around later in the 7th.
Possibilities?
I mean, we're going to see. I mean, I have all the Niners.
I mean, fair. I mean, I like it. I haven't looked at your team yet because I'm staring at a screen that's my draft. My pick's coming up. This guy's building an interesting Super Bowl here. Just why would you snipe that off me? That doesn't even make any sense for you.
Let's see if it made it. Don't auto pick them now.
If I do that,
the moments of best ball drafts, guys, and he came through, man. Letting Purdy sneak to get Christian Watson on the roster. I really like that. Watson can advance you around from the 6th round more than anyone else can.
Christian Watson?
Yep.
Yeah. I think Christian Watson is probably in for a good game this week. And he's one of the reasons why you might not want to build out so many Bears lineups because, it's a strong possibility that they might not make it. But I do think that like stacking up these tight ends for the Rams is going to be way interesting. I don't think a lot of people are thinking about it. I don't think a lot of people are doing it.
Because you're only starting 3 receivers if one goes in your flex. You need the receiving yardage. And Bob, you talk more than anyone about how little tight ends do production-wise, unless they're the number one of the week.
But I feel like with the Rams, it's so unique because it is just as likely that Matthew Stafford throws a touchdown to Devontae Adams as it does that he's going to throw it to one of 5 different tight ends.
See, I disagree with that completely. Those tight ends become so irrelevant when both receivers are there. And Adams is back, baby.
I see it. I see what you're saying. I do.
I think it's a trap.
I don't think it's as trappy as you want to make it out to be. I think it can be. Like it absolutely can be, but I don't think it's as trappy as you're making it out to be. All right, we're going to go. Who do we want to get here? We want to get a nice piece. These targets. I want to get some targets here. Do we want some Steelers? No, we don't really want any Steelers to get some targets in. I could go with Steelers. Give me an interesting, weird-ass Super Bowl.
I'm going for a Super Bowl of the Niners and the Steelers.
That's again, that's
what the $3 mitten is all about, baby.
That is one that I have not been a part of.
No one's ever been a part of this thing. I might be the only person in all of FanDuel stupid enough to do it, or Underdog stupid enough to do it.
No, you're not.
But if we get there, I will have 6, which is probably a bad sign. Too many Niners.
I really hate the team that I've built right now because people have worked around me, but like I'm just kind of going for it, I guess.
So I have the major Niners, right? I have CMC, Kittle, Jennings, and Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 Niners, 3 Steelers with Adams, Henry, or Adams, Harvey rather, as my early advancement pieces, then also including Watson as well. Those aren't the worst 3 advancement pieces with the Niners and Steelers combination.
Honestly, it's not.
I mean, obviously, they got to get there.
We appreciate you, Jamie.
Don't forget that like button. Appreciate y'all, guys. Jamie, we love the fact that you're winning big and winning more than half of your leagues, too, man. That is beautiful.
Oh, I really
hate it up. We're here to help every format. Every format.
I really despise this team. Because I tried to do something that I shouldn't have, and now I don't have the positions that I need.
What did you try and fall flat on your face with, Bob?
Well, what I was going to do was I was going to build for a Rams-Seattle divisional matchup.
Yep.
With some back-end Seattle pieces to go with my Rams pieces. But then I was going to do it through the running backs with Walker and Charbonnet. Then Charbonnet got sniped. And then it just became unworth it. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll build some Bears. And then, like, summarily, like, Colson Loveland went, and then DJ Moore is kind of
the Bears if you want to build a Bears lineup, you got to start it in the 4th round. And that's so far in front of ADP, no one does it.
Yeah. But right here, but then I was like, maybe we don't do that. Maybe we go in a different direction here. I just have to check one thing here. Yeah. When you see this team, you're going to be like,
how do the Packers stack up against Seattle?
How do the Packers stack up against Seattle? How do you mean?
Like if they get there, what's their matchup edge?
All right, so
I'm basically trying to talk myself into doing a Packers stack.
All right, so I'm going to have
to go deeper than just do it because
I'm going to have to go back to week 18 to get it onto the to get it to have show Seattle. But so when we look at where Seattle is in these games, so did Seattle didn't play on the main slate last week. Seattle played San Francisco. All right. So here are the metrics to kind of look at for Seattle, right? Mm-hmm. Is that Seattle over the last 4 games, and this does not include the game that they played week 18. So this is from week 13 to week 17.
Mm-hmm.
So in that span of time, per game, they were offering around 28 rush attempts. Now, they did limit San Francisco this past week. They limited Christian McCaffrey pretty significantly, and they offered a lot of targets. Now, they did not give up a lot of touchdowns. So in 4 weeks, so if we go back and we look at Seattle's schedule from that time, that's Carolina, Los Angeles, Indianapolis, and Atlanta. So that's Bijan, JT, Kyron and Corum, and then Chuba and Rico. In those 4 games,
not the worst stack of backs.
They only gave up one rushing touchdown in those 4 games, but they did give up 411 rushing yards. Okay. Which is not too different than what San Francisco let up. And that's why the Ken Walker Charbonnet is pretty interesting. From a quarterback perspective, Seattle has only allowed in the last 4 games 4 total passing touchdowns, not accounting for that San Francisco game. So it's even less now because you're accounting for that San Francisco game. Over the last 10 games, And again, this goes from Carolina, Rams, Colts, Falcons,
So
Minnesota.
basically what you're saying is the second round going into Seattle is not going to get you to advance out of your pod.
I honestly,
even deeper reasons to divest from the Packers.
Yeah, I don't honestly I don't think so. So here's the other thing. So if you take all those 10 games that I just said from week 17 all the way back to week 7, a total of 10 passing touchdowns they let up.
Yeah. That defense is too good to go through it. So you can't. That actually is an argument against the Rams stack, because if Philly takes care of business and Chicago does, but the Rams are going there in the second round.
But it's also to say that this will be their third time meeting, and the last time that they met. And this is why, if you guys remember, this was the
Thursday night game.
That was the Thursday game where I said that I would be more inclined to sit Stafford, and he ended up throwing for 457 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Nuts, yeah.
They gave him 49 attempts, and Puka had 225 yards and 12 receptions. So, any team can have a bad showing defensively if you're on the field for 50-some plays. In that game, the Rams had more plays than Seattle. So if you give Matt Stafford more plays, but like I said, because this is their third time meeting them, that if that does happen, they're most likely going to have a plan ahead for Puka. But again, if it's Carolina, I think if Carolina wins, the Bears or the Packers are gonna go to them, and that's gonna be a pretty tough matchup. So here's the lineup that I built.
If Carolina wins, they almost certainly. Well, if Carolina wins, they're the 4 seed. It all depends upon what happens in Philly.
You ready to hear this lineup?
Yep.
Super gross. Very disgusting. Stafford. Kyron, Walker, Corum, DeAndre Swift, Kenny Gainwell, Puka, Luther Burden, DK Metcalf, Tyler Higbee.
You don't have a long-term build, but you got advancement pieces.
Hey, like I said, anything can happen in the NFL. And if it ends up being a Rams-Steelers Super Bowl, both Metcalf and Gainwell can do very well against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler Higbee can do very well against the Steelers defense.
Well, I can tell you, if the Steelers get anywhere near the Super Bowl, it's going to be on Gainwell and Metcalf.
Hey, I mean, it's a little bit of back end bullshit, but stranger things have happened. I don't expect it to win.
People have won more with less back end bullshit, Bob.
Truthfully speaking, absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Just like Jamie said here, don't forget to hit like, follow, and subscribe. We appreciate everybody. We're going to be back next Monday, 3:45, with more drafts, talking about the playoffs that just came, and just thinking about, and the drafts that we do next week will be more so thinking about the big boards and thinking about how to prepare for the best ball season that is coming up, because the playoffs will close this week. So get your drafts in, everybody.
It's going to be fun times, guys. See y'all.